Welcome back to part 2, live on a Thursday, Sheffield Live TV with Neil Redfearn, the former top player, former manager, and now a top pundit with TalkSport, a player. And welcome back to James Gregg,
Pleasure.
who's been globetrotting as ever. And well, if you saw part 1, I said it was sickening, absolutely sickening to see you there with a backdrop of Table Mountain.
Not the first time I've heard that in the last few weeks. No, absolutely.
Brilliant. I really look forward to some of your stories. It's been a great tour.
Doesn't beat this backdrop though, does it?
No, this one.
The Sheffield one.
This one. Yeah, this one's far better.
Yeah, miles better.
More picturesque, far more picturesque. But you've been fronting for the Barmy Army, England's Barmy Army, in South Africa, and I'm sure you've got lots of stories to tell.
Lots of stories, yeah. I mean, we could fill probably 2 or 3 of these programmes just with all that. But yeah, it's been brilliant. Glad to be back, obviously. I mean, you know, well, you know what? I think now the cricket's finished. You know, the Test cricket's finished anyway. You kind of think, well, there's nothing for me out there now. You know, and once it's done, it's fine. But honestly, whilst that last Test was going on, because I didn't do Joburg, and I was kind of thinking, you know, I wish I was still out there. And it was agonising. But as soon as they finished, I thought, great, we're all coming home now. That's it.
You're not missing anything.
No, exactly.
It's great to see fans not only enjoying themselves but behaving themselves. I mean, representing England abroad, that's not always the case, Neil, is it?
Well,
sadly.
Well, exactly, but they've given them something to cheer about. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, they have.
It's been a great tour for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been really good.
We'll get James's impressions a bit later, as well as his roundup on what defines and what distinguishes England cricket fans from England football fans abroad, and we'll see a video or 2 as well. We were talking about your team in part 1 quite heavily, Sheffield United.
Which team's that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah. I think he's out there.
It's quite obvious. Yeah.
On a day when they've smashed the transfer record again, Sanderberger for anything between 22 and 25 million pounds, other deals pending. You know what seems to make the difference for me, Neil? Maybe I'm a bit of a dinosaur, and this is certainly a hobby horse of mine. A manager leading the recruitment process and the benefits accruing from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's got to have the main say because he's got to work with the players, and there's nobody's going to understand Sheffield United's way of playing and style of play than Chris Wilder. So, you know, if whichever player comes in, you know, it's almost said with a technical director that a manager suggests what type of player he wants, and then the technical director goes and gets him. But for me, that's a little bit too vague. You know, I think the manager's got to be really involved in the process. Which
he clearly is, and Paul Mitchell again take a bow. But also Prince Abdullah, because he's sanctioned this. I think there's been a huge expansion of the budget within a few days. There might have been a few exchanges behind the scenes. I'm sure that, you know, there were honest views on the way ahead, and Chris Wilder would seem to have prevailed. But he's prevailed from resources which he's created.
Yes.
Importantly, Neil.
I think that's spot on. Yeah, I think he's put himself in a really good position because through hard work and success and quality of management and knowledge of the game, I think he's whatever he wants, he's got to get for Sheffield United because he's taking Sheffield United to the next level.
Never satisfied.
No, well, and that's a good thing. You know, I mean, I know Chris quite well. I mean, I came across him lots of times in my career as a player. When he went to Halifax and I was at Scarborough, I came across him. Just really innovative, you know, and really out there and really positive in everything he did. So, you know, it's a good thing that obviously he's getting the backing now when he needs it.
Could have been different signings though, that couldn't it? Because, you know, if let's say they're where Villa are and they're in a bit of a relegation scrap, they ain't signing someone like Sanderberg, whether they can afford him or not, or they're looking at different signings to try and sort of shore up, you know, the Premier League status. They've got a lot of freedom to kind of go out and sign players like that at the moment, haven't they? So they've got to kind of capitalise on it.
Exactly. I think that's the beauty of having the success that they've had. And you know, I mean, obviously he's looking in there, Sanderberg, and thinking, this is one of the better sides in the Premier League, I want to go. So it's testament to the club as well, you know, to get that type of quality player in.
How much control did you have as a manager over things like transfers?
Well, it varies at different clubs. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm thinking to my time at Leeds United, it's a different.
We're going to come on to that.
Yeah, it's a different culture. You know, you've got an owner that's, you know, in Italy, it's more than the owner's more involved in things like that. And obviously my spells came as, you know, I had 3 caretaker spells before I actually got the job, which actually stood me in better stead than just coming in as a manager. You know, we had Darko Milanic in and obviously Dave Ockaday, and, you know, they're coming in as cold as managers. You know, I was at the club as a 23s coach, and I knew how the club ran. I was there 7 years before, you know, before I got the job. So that's a big advantage, because you know the younger players underneath. You know what's, you know the level of the first team, because you've been about them and seen them. So you've got a good idea and a good opinion, you know, to go to the owner with. But ultimately, like I say, it's a culture thing. You know, they see things differently, and, you know, how that bit's run. You know, recruiting at the top end.
Your experiences with Massimo Cellino, I'm sure you'll never forget.
No, well, do you know what? It teaches you managing difficult circumstances. You know, it's every experience as a manager at the top flight or as a top level is a good experience. And you've got to use it as that. You know, I'm pretty sure Marcelo Bielsa wouldn't have, you know, found it difficult, even though he's a top manager, you know, managing in them sort of circumstances. But now his circumstances have changed, and great. Yeah. You know, and you look at Leeds United now, and you know, one of the most attractive footballing sides in, you know, in the country, and that's the sea change that the club's been through. But at that time, I mean, look, when I took over, I think we were just maybe 3rd bottom or 4th bottom of the Championship, and in the end, I think we were 7 points off the playoffs. Yeah. You know, so we had a good run, and we introduced quite a lot of young players. You know, talking about Lewis Cook, Charlie Taylor, Sam Byram, Alex Mowat, all top players that went on either to play longer for the club or sold on for good money. So it was a good time in that sense. But since then, I mean, you know, with the advent of Andrea Radrizzani coming in and the investment that's gone into the club, it's gone on again. You know, and I mean, I watched them on Tuesday night against Millwall, and they were really different class Leeds. You know, after the first goal, then for the next, you know, 60 minutes or whatever, it was top level stuff.
And you see them going on and doing it this time?
I think this is their year, mate. Yeah, I think they'll go up. I think they've got too much quality. I think they've got probably the best manager in the division, and I think that they're a side that's on the up.
Okay, well, it's pretty clear. That may not go down well in all parts of Sheffield. But Connor Wickham came up in part 1, and you noticed, Alex Miller of the Sheffield Star was a recent guest of ours, was sort of saying that Wednesday might be edging closer.
Yeah, I think so, and it's probably not a bad sign, is it? I mean, you know, get your thoughts on that. You'll probably, you know, you'll have seen far more of him than I have, but you think he's not getting any game time, you know, in the Premier League.
He came on and contributed to an equaliser just recently. He did.
But you know, if he's not getting, he's got that quality, hasn't he? And he's also, you know, he's been at Wednesday before on loan, so. It makes sense, that, Neil. You think that's a good one, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I think what he is, you know, I mean, obviously, it's a beautiful build for a striker, for a centre forward. I mean, you can go into him, you know, as a target, as a 9, but he's more to him than that. He's more mobile. He'll run the channels. He'll get down the sides. He's bright round the box. We had him in his younger days at Leeds on loan, not when I was manager, but, you know, before I was manager. I think it was under Simon Grayson or Brian McDermott, and he was a real clever player, and he was only a young player then at the time. He's got more years under his belt, more experience perhaps, you know, at a higher level. And I think that's a really, really clever signing by Sheffield.
Well, let's hope they pull it off and complete it. And if they do, absolute credit where it's due.
Absolutely.
To sign a player of that quality, albeit on loan for the rest of the season. I hope that goes ahead. Certainly they need a lift. But above all, the players, before we move on to you, James, the players need to lift the crowd, not the other way around, I think, at home to Millwall on Saturday.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, they've had a little bit of a blip. You know, and to be fair, I think, you know, even the game that we was there and witnessed, the Blackburn game, they were quite patient, you know, the players. They realised the sending off was probably not a sending off, perhaps.
The fans were remarkably patient.
Yeah, and they stuck with it, and yeah, there was some disgruntled people going out at the end, and rightly so, because it's a drubbing at home. But listen, it's the nature of the Championship, and he's got them at the right end of the table, Gary Monk, and by the looks of things, they're putting things in place to make things better.
Yeah, let's hope so. And Sheffield United are at Crystal Palace this weekend. It'd be interesting to see which of the new names figures, although I think it would be very wild alike for none of them to start. I think that's pretty much, because you know, there ain't a lot of reason to drop anybody at the minute, is there?
No. Well, they've got a way of playing. They've been successful, and whoever comes in is going to have to earn the shirt. I would have thought.
Every time I read about cricket fans abroad, our cricket fans abroad, I read good things. Now, you've been out in South Africa covering the Test series for the Barmy Army website, okay? And you've worked with the Barmy Army organisation before.
I have, yeah. And
I've
your
been on a
couple of tours now. Unbelievable. I mean, genuinely, people are going out there to have a good time. So they're going and, you know, cricket fans, they are by and large nice people. I'm not saying football fans aren't, because there are lots of football fans and lots of them are nice. There's obviously not been any kind of culture to do with sort of tearing stuff up in cricket. It never really has been that. And I think also...
More the players.
They're the problem. Not anymore. Not anymore. Right, I must stress that. But yeah, honestly, I think also when people go out on tour, you know, you go into these places of the world which are beautiful. South Africa, India, Sri Lanka, Australia, all amazing places, usually in the winter time as well. So it's like a winter break, you're away from sort of all the rain and horrible stuff in here, and you're appreciating your surroundings. You know, I'm sat at Newlands at Cape Town and I'm like gobsmacked looking at Table Mountain. England are playing Test cricket against South Africa. There's 20,000 people in the ground. But then also as well, you know, on a serious point, people are going away and they're seeing how lucky we are here, and they're sort of seeing all the different, you know, the sort of townships here, and you know, the slums in India and whatever. So I think people are a bit more appreciative. They're a lot more respectful of the people. There's a bit of charity work goes on when people are out there. You know, they organise these charity cricket games against the locals. It's all very good-natured, and I think there's just, you know, and people enjoy themselves, and they'll obviously spend, you know, all the hard-earned cash in the bars and you know, around the grounds and whatever.
It's not cheap.
I mean,
what kind of types are they? Are they solicitors at home, bank managers, or, you know, am I sort of generalising?
You know what? I get asked this a lot because people say, oh, you know, you've got to be a bit, you know, well-to-do to go and watch the cricket.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
It's bizarre. Honestly, the mix of people is incredible, because you've got people who are obviously got their own businesses and they can have all that time off work, or they're retired and they've done very well, or you've got painters, decorators, builders, whatever, who literally are busting a gut all year round to afford that sort of chunk away from home, and that is what I'm doing. And it's like not an option for a lot of these people to not go on the next tour. You know, they're going, I'll see you in Sri Lanka, and you go, will you? You know, and you know, and you don't want to judge, because, but you're thinking, you know, how are you affording this? But
I tell you what I like is the thought process that goes behind the fancy dress.
You
know, when you get the ones where they come out in the fancy dress, that's brilliant.
People, you know, people are dressed up as the Queen all day with a mask on, and you're thinking it's 30 degrees. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts. I'm too hot.
I thought that was you.
I thought it was me.
And the numbers. Let's talk about the numbers who are following England abroad. In Cape Town, how many Barmy Army people there?
I mean, English in Cape Town, there was 8,000.
Wow.
You know,
that's a lot of people. You know, a lot, 6,000 miles away.
I mean, it is amazing. It's like a takeover, and you might have seen on some of the social media channels, I was doing sort of the flag walks, because obviously, you know, when you're watching it on the telly, you see all the St George's crosses dotted around the ground, and I thought half of these flags, they're not even getting on. So we did this little thing on social media where I was sort of pointing out, reading out some of the names, and they're from here, there, and everywhere. All these people, and they've all got the football clubs or the local cricket club or the pub or whatever on these flags, and that was great.
And why do these guys, we shouldn't ask this question really, why do these guys behave themselves and they not all, I know it's only a minority, but not all England football fans abroad?
It's a good question. There was a really good article written after Cape Town, because obviously the players credited the Barmy Army and a lot of the support with that final hour, giving them a bit of a boost. And you know, they genuinely do as well. You know, having spoke to a couple of them, you know, I know Stokes and Root both absolutely love, you know, hearing the songs going off and whatever. They love that, and they turn around and they give it a little clap and stuff. They acknowledge it, whereas I think previous players haven't. It's a good question. I don't know. This article tried to kind of touch on it. It's one of those things where there's not really a mob mentality in cricket. I think because you kind of sat amongst, you know, you've got South African people sat right in the middle, sat next to Billy the trumpeter, for example, who are joining in the songs, and it's all very good-natured. And I think,
and there's drinking going on all day.
Course,
more opportunity for drinking during the event than there is at a football.
But there's
match.
never any. I mean, look, honestly, you know, I've been to, you know, on 2 away tours now, and I'm not seeing any incidents between sort of rival fans or whatever. it's one of the unanswerable questions, I'm afraid.
Way to go. Credits to the Barmy Army organisation. We've got to get that plug in because you want them to keep employing you.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to get Sri Lanka in March.
Yeah. Where are you, just before we come for your roundup, and we'll see a classic Barmy Army video in a minute. This weekend, you're working?
Yeah, I've got Hull City and Brentford.
Right, you know,
Early
there was
kick-off.
quite a bit of speculation today about Jared Bowen possibly going to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and Grzycki maybe to West Brom.
I think that one's happened.
Has that happened? So that's quite a chunk out of their
those
side.
two left half.
Yeah, it's a big replacement. I know they brought Malik Wilkes in, haven't they, from Doncaster?
Yes.
He's done okay. But it might be a little bit of a rebuild, maybe.
It looks like that, but with some money, hopefully, for the manager, Grant McCann, to do that.
Yeah.
Because they did really well against Chelsea in the cup, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They put up a proper fight, and you know, it's a shame to lose Bowen because people have been talking about him for particularly this season, but the season before, weren't they?
It's been a mystery why nobody's bid for him, really.
Yeah, I think it was always going to go on it at some point. Him and Grzycki, to be fair.
I think he's held off signing a new deal. Yeah. Right, got James's roundup to come.
Yeah.
Right, it's Name Droppers Corner now. Name Droppers Corner. Right. I recognise these faces. Well, I recognise you.
So,
and I know the other two are famous, and it might just be my age. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
It's amazing who you bump into at the cricket, isn't it? And I'm with two guys now who you probably will know, but not really associated with being here. They're fresh off a couple of hours in the sun with the Barmy Army. Got Rob Beckett.
Hello.
How are you, mate?
Nice to see
and
you.
Ramesh Ranganathan.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Big cricket fans, I've heard.
Well, no. This is the reason we're doing the documentary. We don't know anything, so we're trying to find out about it. You know a bit more than me, but...
Yeah, my dad was a big cricket fan, so but I'm a novice.
Yeah.
But
we're learning.
Rob knows absolutely nothing.
But they welcomed you in, didn't they, into the stand earlier? How was that?
I'm going to be honest with you. You know, you've got a perception of the Barmy Army, and I found the perception of them like a bit intimidating. I didn't think they were going to be welcoming. I thought it was going to be a bit sort of aggressive. And I'll be honest, they gave us a bit of stick, but it was all friendly. Yeah. And I actually thought they were very welcoming. I was pleasantly surprised, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's because they didn't sing songs about you.
No.
They said Rob Beckett's got big teeth and he's just a shit James Corden. So I didn't feel as well.
Neither of those things inaccurate.
No.
If they were going to... What? Which ones aren't?
Well, the teeth are big, and I'd argue that Corden is bigger and better than
If you were going to think of a song to sing about him, to sing in the Barmy Army, what would it be?
I can't tell where he's looking. Can't tell where he's looking. It'd be something like that, wouldn't it?
His eyes on the crease and the bat.
So this programme that you're making, when's it going to be out, guys?
It's going to be out later this year. So it's on the back of the World Cup. We're sort of trying to look at cricket, the phenomenon of cricket, and you know, it feels like, you know, cricket is trying to, as a sport, is trying to get new fans in and trying to get younger people in, and you know, Test cricket's great, but arguably it's not got as much appeal to new fans and outsiders coming in. So we're sort of looking at the whole phenomenon and sort of exploring whether more people should be getting into it.
Spot on. Have you brushed up on all the cricket trivia? Like, who's your favourite England captain and all that stuff? No. Would you reckon you will be though after? Become a bit of a badger?
I don't know that about...
So badger, I know this. A badger's like a keynote, right?
Yeah. That's not
He wants badgers dead, not me.
His words, not mine. Lads, thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed that as well.
Thank you so much, man.
You're in the army now. That's it.
I want to say, Barmy Army, you're very welcome and thank you very much.
And I've got something. We're going to end this on us losing a wicket.
Well done,
Typical.
Look at that, he's ruined it.
Ramesh and Rob Beckett there, along with some other guy that I've never heard of. And you got the wicket of your best mate.
I know. Unfortunately, that was Joe Root getting out right at the end there. Whoops, I know.
Can't take you anywhere.
Oh, well. Yeah, it was. But look, I mean, they're the kind of people that you see in the crowd, and it was good to have a chat with them. And, you know, I'm going to do a bit of a plug. If you want to have a look at some of our stuff that we've go on our Twitter or Instagram pages on the Barmy Army, and there's loads of good stuff. Not just stuff like that, but there's loads of daft stuff as well. So, so there we go.
It's lots of fun.
Lots of fun.
Yeah. Neil, we're going to go back to football. Oh no, we've got your roundup.
Yeah, we'll do a quick one if you want.
Yeah, shall we do a quick round?
We'll do a quick one.
We'll top and tail with Neil.
Why not?
He's going to score from 25
I'll tell you what, we know Wednesday we've got Millwall, we know the
Yep.
Blades have got Palace this weekend, so
Yep.
we'll talk about Worsborough Bridge. Notice I pronounced that correctly, Neil.
Very good.
As well. Worsborough,
Yeah.
not Worsborough.
Make sure you get that right.
Absolutely. Host Hallam this weekend. Ryan Hindley back in assistant charge as well.
Interesting.
It will
There's a bit
be.
of history between those two.
Is there? You know that, don't you? Have you been there for one of those?
They had an abandoned game when they were leading 3 or 4-0. That
They
was
did.
where Hallam did.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
right. Yeah.
let's hope they've moved on. Let's hope it's water under the bridge. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. I see what you
All
did
right,
there.
cool.
I like that. Very good. But the
Terrible.
big one, actually, there's a really big game in non-league this weekend. It's Worksop Town against Sheffield Club. 12th plays 13th. That should be a cracking atmosphere. Sheffield United women, whilst I'll just drop all my notes as well, they've won 4 of their last 5. They're second in the Women's Championship. Carla Ward's side doing really well there. We'll have to sort of get one of those in again, towards the back end of this season. If she allows them to, of course, because they're doing so well at the
They
minute.
train on a Thursday night. That's the problem.
I know, that is a problem, especially
It's a
they're doing
slight
so well as well,
Slight
isn't
problem.
it? Ice hockey, Panthers and Guildford are the opponents for the Sheffield Steelers this weekend. Panthers, always a really big occasion. Steelers are top of the table as well in the English Ice Hockey League. So there's a few tickets left for the arena on Saturday for that one. On Friday night, though, tomorrow, Sharks have got Surrey Scorchers at home at the EIS. They need some wins, though, to get into towards those playoff spots. And February the 8th, to mark your card, at the arena, Kelbrook back in boxing action for the first time since 2018. Can't believe it that he didn't fight at all last year. He's got the American Mark DeLuca there, and it's also on Sky Sports box office.
Brilliant, thanks very much indeed. I thoroughly enjoyed watching Penistone Church against Grimsby Borough on a rare Saturday off last week. Finished a 1-1 draw. Yeah, did. I've got another rare Saturday off this weekend anyway, and then I get back to normal. I've got the Blades on the Sunday, and you might even be there.
Yeah,
Sheffield United's next home game. Is it Bournemouth? Is it a week on Sunday?
You're coming in like a bit of a duo, you two, by the way, aren't you?
Yeah,
on
well,
Talk Sport.
We're getting there.
Bit of a comedy. Comedy duo. Yeah, I mean, we like this city to do well, and at the moment, it must be very hard to be a Wednesday night, really hard, because of what's happening across the city. Although, to be fair to a lot of Owls fans, they are good enough, and I see these comments on Twitter all the time that got to take my hat off, however grudging and gritty teeth.
Well, the Sheffield people.
Yeah.
At the end of it, and I know it's there's the rivalry between United and Wednesday, but they are Sheffield people, and obviously the Northern people, and they want people to do well. But it's such a well supported club, Sheffield Wednesday, and I think that they make great noise. All the games we've seen this season, they've got behind the team, and I just think, to be fair, I think Gary Monk's right at the beginning of making Sheffield Wednesday really successful again, and it's going to take a little bit of time. They'll probably say they've been in this position before and not had the outcome, but I just think the signs are looking a little bit more positive this time.
Okay, and Sheffield United women. Somewhat close to your heart, with the experience of women's football and how it's progressed as well.
Brilliant, yeah. I mean, it's come on leaps and bounds. I mean, the quality and the standard. I was in charge of Donny Bells, and I think we won the league by 10 points, clear, the WSL2. And we had a really strong side, and it was a really well-run club. Carla Ward's doing fantastically well at Sheffield United Women. I know Carla really well. Met her a couple of times, had a couple of chats with her. And she's a really talented manager. She's a really talented coach as well, and she's got the girls playing really well. She's got a good blend and a good mix. I know she signed Leandra Little that I had at Liverpool, and Donny Bells at the back. She'll be a big player for him. And she's got one or two players, Sophie Barker.
I tell you what, Jade Pennock is a heck of a player.
Well, Jade played for us at Bells, and I think we got her from Harrogate.
Did you?
And she came down and had a couple of training sessions, and she was like mercurial. You just give her the ball and she just goes past people.
She is incredible. Anyway, right. Our time is up. I'm really sorry about. I've got to apologise for that. Neil, thank you so much. It's been brilliant. James, good to see you back on the show.
Pleasure.
YouTube later if you missed. See you later. Bye.